a crypto-powered future. There are no guarantees, however, that this will be a future worth having. When Buterin first introduced Ethereum on stage at an early 2014 Bitcoin conference in Miami, after a litany of all the wonders that could be built with it, he ended with a mic drop reference to Skynet, the artificial intelligence in the Terminator movies that turns on its human creators. It was a joke that he would repeat, and like many well-worn jokes, it bore a warning. Ethereum holds the potential for utopia and dystopia and everything in between. It creates artificial scarcity by capping the availability of made-up tokens, but these enable communities to generate abundant capital that they can use and control. It excludes people who can't or won't buy and trade risky internet money. It has also spurred the invention of novel governance systems that share power with unprecedented inclusivity. It consumes vast amounts of energy just to perpetuate its own functioning. It also enables new ways of putting a price on carbon and pollution, while governments refuse to do so. It has produced nouveaux riches, notorious for their extravagance, congregating in tax shelters and pricing out locals. It is also a borderless, user-owned financial system available to anyone with a smartphone. It rewards a tech-savvy elite who got in early. It also presents a real chance for undermining the dominant tech companies. It has produced a speculative financial system before a real economy of useful things. Yet far more than in a stock market, ownership lies with the people creating the value. It has showered vast payouts on digital collectibles with little apparent worth. The result is a new business model to support the making and sharing of open access culture. It promises to make early adopters wealthy at the expense of future generations. It gives those generations a set of building blocks whose uses are up to those who do the building. Listeners of what follows must hold these contradictions in mind and contend with them, ascertaining for themselves and their communities which option should win out. The contradictions can be vexing and distressing, but also motivating. They are still hot enough to be shaped. At the heart of any blockchain-based system like Bitcoin or Ethereum is the consensus mechanism. This is the process by which computers agree on a common set of data and protect it against manipulation, whether it be a list of transactions, as for Bitcoin, or the state of the Ethereum world computer. Consensus without a central authority is not easy. Bitcoin uses a mechanism called proof of work, which means lots of computers expend lots of energy doing math problems, all in order to prove that they are invested in keeping the system secure. The people behind those computers, known as miners, get paid for doing so, and they consume country-sized volumes of electricity, producing the carbon emissions that level of consumption requires. Ethereum adopted proof of work as well, for want of a functional alternative at the time. But even before it went online, Buterin was already talking about switching, once his team had worked out the kinks, to another mechanism, proof of stake. In proof of stake, users prove their skin in the game with token holdings rather than computing power. Energy consumption is minimal. If token holders try to corrupt the system, they lose the tokens they staked. In this book, the consensus mechanisms are metaphors as much as system designs. They evoke the labor, commitment, conviction, and coordination that these essays depict. They also exemplify the contradictions, innovation and waste, democracy and plutocracy, vibrant community and relentless mistrust. Like the mechanisms themselves, these metaphors resist idealism, pointing to the compromises necessary for even parts of a hoped-for world to survive in the real world. The essays included here, chosen with Buterin, present a particular side of him, the social theorist and activist, a person thinking while doing and figuring out the consequences as he goes. The largely young, male, and privileged milieu of crypto culture can often seem so far removed from the kinds of problems participants purport to be trying to solve. Buterin reflects that culture. He can be technical at times, but less here than in his other writings, many of which he intended only for fellow developers. The technical parts reward the work they take to grasp. Even with formulas, he is companionable, lucid, and funny.